Hi developers, in this video we'll learn how to create unit tests for our Xamarin Forms applications. So let's get started. Let's start by creating a Xamarin Forms application, then we'll go and create unit tests against that application. And before I start here, I want to notice that it's a really good practice to respect the Mvvm design pattern when creating unit tests. So let's make our application Mvvm ready application. So here I'll go and add the functionality, the business logic inside a view model, and let's make that view model inside a folder. So let's add a new folder here. Let's call it view models, and we'll add a view model that will be responsible for mathematical operations. So let's call it math view model, for example. This math view model will have two attributes, and it implements the iNotify property changes. ReSharper will implement this interface automatically for me. So it only adds this this code here. The math view model will have two attributes, which will be two entities, so that I can do operations like adding two integers and multiplying two integers. So let's add these two attributes. They will be of type integers. So let's call the first one value a, for example, and let's make them have backing fields so that we can call the onProperty changed inside the setter. That way we can refresh the value a inside the user interface. And let's do the same and add another integer, which will be value b, for example. Let's make it use onProperty changed. And the result of the addition operation, or the multiplying the two integers, will be inside a property of type integers that will be called result. The result also uses onProperty changed. So here we go. Now the way to use these to do the operations is through commands. So let's add a public command here. Let's of course add its using, which is system.component model. So the first command will be responsible for adding two integers. So let's call it add command, for example. The add command will return a command. So let's make it return a new command object. The command object will accept in his constructor a lambda expression here, where we'll place the mathematical operations. I should add the get here, of course. Oops. So this we can return the command object inside the getter here. Let's try to format this out like this one. Here we go. Oops, something stay wrong. It should be command, not I command. So that will be inside the Xamarin Forms command. Okay. Now we are good. So inside the add command, will put inside the result the result of adding value A to value B. And here another good practice is to use the local attributes or the local fields here instead of the public attributes. So I use here the private fields. So this is for the adding command. Let's do the same for the second operation, which will be multiply command, for example. Inside the multiply command, we'll return a new command, but the result will take the result of value A multiplied by value B. So now this is the view model that will be used inside our main page. So let's go to the main page. Let's get rid of this default label, and let's make this main page knows about the view model. So let's make it let's make it be binded to the view model, which is math view model. So here ReSharper will add this XMLNS, this namespace, so that here I can know about the math view model. So now that my page here is bound to the view model, here I'll start writing some user interface. So let's go and add a stack layout. The elements of the stack layout will be sorted vertically, and inside that stack layout I'll go and add an entry. The first entry will have let's say a font size 40, and it will be bound, the text value will be bound to value A. The same thing will be for the second entry, but here again instead of value A it will be bound to value B. After that, let's add a button. The button will have a text saying this is for doing add operation. It will also have some text color to be white, and let's give it a nice background color, olive for example. And when clicking on the button, we'll go and execute the command that is add command that we have created inside our math view model. Let's make a copy of this button, and the second button will be responsible for multiply operations. Let's give it another color, let's say fuchsia, and here when clicking the command will execute the multiply command. The result then will be shown inside a label. So let's create a label. Let's bind the text of that label to the result that we have created inside the math view model. Let's give it a bigger font size. Let's say 40 again. Actually, let's also add a font size of 40 to our buttons. So now this is our application. Let's try it out. So let's click Ctrl F5. So here it is, our application. Let's try to test it out. Let's give it some numbers here. Let's say 5, and let's try the value B will be 3, for example. Let's try add. So 5 plus 3 should be 8, and multiply So here it is. So now that our application is running good, now we'll go and add unit tests against this application. So the unit test will be especially or exactly against the view model. So how can we test this view model and exactly the add and multiply commands, so that we can make sure that the operations done here are always the operations we want to do. So here what I'm gonna do, I'll go to the solution and add a new folder. This is of course a good practice to do, is to place your test projects inside a separate folder. So let's say here new solution folder, and let's call it tests. Inside this folder I'll go and add new project, and here I'll go to inside Visual C#, go to select test. So here inside test I have some templates for building tests in Visual Studio. So here I can make coded UI tests, some tests against iOS and Android applications, some load tests and web performance tests. Here because I want to create unit tests, I'll go and grab this template unit test project. So let's call it my app .unit test. Click OK. So this project here have some references for the Visual Studio Test unit test framework, and here it creates a default class for me, call it unit test 1. Inside the unit test you see here that it uses the attributes test class on top of the class to tell that this class is used as a test class. Then here it creates a default method for me, which have the attribute test method. So let's start by creating our unit test. So let's call it math unit test. Let's also make our file match the name of this class. And the first test will be against our add command here. So for that I call it add test. So let's start the first one by let's say arrange. So when writing unit test there is 3 steps. So the first one is to arrange, then act, then assert. At the arrange phase, all we have to do is to call the math view model, call it VM equal new math view model. And here you see I can't get a reference to the math view model here, because inside the test project I should go and add a reference to the project that have the code that I want to unit test. Here in my case it's my app, which is a portable project. So I'll go to references, add reference, then here I'll add a reference to my app. After having done that, here I can add a reference to my view models. So now that I have created a new view model, now I'll give values to my value A and value B. So let's say value A equal 4, for example, and then my value B will be 6, for example. After the arrange phase, we'll go to the act phase, and here inside the act, we'll go to call the add command inside our view model. So here the way to execute the add command is by calling add command dot execute. And here execute, it accepts a parameter of type object, and because our add command doesn't have any parameter here, doesn't accept any generic parameter, we'll go and tell that this is null. So here it will simulate that I have called the add command. After executing the add command, we'll go to the assert phase here, and inside the assert we always call the assert object, and inside the assert object we have some methods that we can use to test our operations, and here I'll go and use is true. Here is true has two many overloads. The one I'll use is the one that accepts a condition and a message. So the condition will be that our vm.result should be equal to 10. Here the addition of 4 to 6, it should be 10. If the value is not 10, then I add a new a message telling me about the error. So here I'll show that the VM result is different of 10. So this is our test here against our view model. Now let's try and run this this test. So the first thing to do here, because every time running the test, we'll try to rebuild all our projects. I'll go and get rid of the projects that I don't need at this level here. So I'll go and unload these projects so that I can make the rebuild process pretty light and fast. So here there is a couple of steps we need to do. The first one is to go to the test menu here, go to Windows, and then select Test Explorer. So here, Test Windows, Test Explorer. It's the Test Explorer that will bring this this window here that is that have all information about all our unit tests. So here you see I don't have any unit tests, and to show our unit test, which is a test here inside this Test Explorer, we should go to Build and click Build Solution. So here you see building the solution, bring this this add test here inside the Test Explorer, as you see here. So now we can right click this test and hit run selected tests. So here telling me that this test takes about 74 milliseconds and it runs successfully after having this green icon here. So if this test doesn't run successfully, let's say that we are waiting for the result of adding 4 to 6 to be 9, and let's see now how that will looks like. So let's hit run all. So you can choose between run all or right click the test and select run tests. Yeah, so here after that this test doesn't executed successfully, it fails. You see here when the test fails, it shows this red icon, and it shows also that message telling me that the vm.result is different than 10. So this is this message here. You see it's valuable when the test doesn't execute successfully, so it tells me about the where my test fails. So let's go and create another test for to test against our multiply command. The way to create another test is here. I go and copy the same test we have used for the add test, and here I call it multiply test. Here, of course, it should also use this test method attribute, and we'll use here the same steps for the arrange. We give it the two values 4 and 6, and execute here not the add command but the multiply command, and here we are expecting the result to be 24, and we'll show a message if the result is different than 24. So now to show again this test method inside the test explorer, we should again go to build and build solution. So here you see it adds this multiply test. Now let's go and run all our tests, and here let's give it back to 10. Run all. So running all will run my two tests, add test and multiply test, and there is no order here. They could be executed in parallel, and there is no order between executing the two tests here. So here, after finishing the test, the two tests execute successfully. And here I want to add some options when writing unit tests. So here I can create some categories. The way to create a category is to go and add another attribute, which is test category. Test category will accept a parameter which will be the name of the category. So let's say this is testing the add command, and let's create another category for the multiply test because it's testing the multiply command. So let's say here it's against the multiply command. Here I go again and build solution. Now you see that here I have two groups of tests. The first one is the add command, and the second one is the multiply command. So it's multiply. There is some other good practices when writing unit tests. Here, for the naming the text, here I have called it add test, but some advices that we should call the test, we should give it a more meaningful name, and we should name it here as add 4 to 6 returns 10. So this way I'm adding, I'm creating, like giving a more meaningful description to my test. So do the same for our multiply test, and here it will be called multiply 4 by 6 returns 24. Let's rebuild it again. So that's useful whenever here I get a large number of tests. So let's say here I have like 10 or 20 tests, and I will forget what each test is testing. So giving meaningful names to my methods will make my life easier. So another notes here. Here I have created the assert is using the isTrue method, but of course I can go and use another assert which is equivalent to that one. Here, like for example, using r equal, and here r equal have some parameters. The first one is the expected value, and the second one is the actual value. Then the message to be displayed in the case of failing the test. So the first parameter is the expected one, and the expected value of adding 4 to 6 is 10. So let's write that value there, and then we write the actual value, which is the value of the result inside my view model. And again, the message that will be displayed in case of an error. So let's copy and paste this same message. So here two assertions that are equivalent, but here it's better here to use the r equal in this case, because here I'm creating a comparison between the expected value and the actual value. So here I have some two unit tests. I can go and run these unit tests by hitting run all, or I can use the shortcut Ctrl R A for saying running all our unit tests. Again, that will run my two unit tests that are now successfully executed. So I hope this was helpful for you to write unit tests against your application, so that you make your application have less bugs and less errors. And thank you.